Hey there, everyone. Thanks for joining me for another episode of the Female Empowered Podcast. Today, well, I'm your host, Christa Gurka. I'm always here. But today we have a guest episode. I'm actually super excited about this one because in the boutique fitness industry, one of the premier conversations is always about your scheduling software, your point of service, your CRM. And so today I have Peter Pastijn here with Momence. I met him through Momence. All of you know that I've used Momence now for 2.5 years, maybe. I forget. After COVID, everything just kind of like falls in line with me. But he and I met probably before 2025. I believe he's on their team now, and he's just been a plethora of information to me on how to not only optimize Momence, but how we can bring the versatility of this platform to more studio owners. So Peter, I'm so happy to have you here. Will you introduce yourself to the audience and then just give us a little history about how you got to be working with Momence?
Thank you, Christa. It's exciting, and exciting to be here. I see what you do, and let me tell you first. I run the partnership department at Moments, and that is a brand new thing. It was a white page on September 16th. I joined. Short version of my background: I opened 4 studios myself. My main modality is spinning, which is something I started after knee surgery back in 1992. Was a professional athlete. So yeah, I go back a while, and then you go from teaching to teacher training for Mad Dog Athletics. Then you go like, oh, I work in multiple studios, opened my first one myself. And then I went through 14 years of operatorship, opening 4 studios, one Pilates studio, 3 were multimodality, but my main modality was spin, and worked in with software in mind body mainly. I think everybody started there because that's what you did. Was struggling with it. Moved my Pilates studio over to Moments, similarly to COVID. Met Vojta, our CEO. Him and I kept speaking a lot, but that's when I started speaking to him more, was when I was coaching. I've coached about 200 studios worldwide, in anything from analyzing their numbers, setting up marketing, sales processes, and all that. And I used to set up about 1,100 pricing models for small and medium-sized businesses around the world, doing their audits and then looking at their business model. And then Vojta, our CEO, asked me, "Hey, would you like to come this way?" And I was like, "Yeah, this is a great opportunity. I can maybe build together on how a software like Moments, which I think was already best in class at the time, I was excited to join." And so that's what we did. But in all humility, he's a genius, and I'm just kind of like I'm just kind of like there to say to him, "Hey, man, good work." And so I'm really excited to be a part of this team right now.
Well, I'm sure they're excited to have you. Vojta has been great. I met him personally a couple years ago when I was thinking of joining the program, and they have done a great job with bringing more people into the fold that can be front facing, customer facing, and assist us business owners and how to best utilize the platform. So one of the things I've discussed with you as a lot as well is that, coding is one thing, having great, functionality and things of that nature is one thing. The problem, at least with the business owners I work with and people in my ethos, are we're just doing too many things oftentimes. Like the business owner is the marketing person, the teacher, the instructor, the front desk person, the janitor, the plumber, the HVAC person, the IT department, the customer service department. And so even though the platform is super versatile, it becomes overwhelming for small business owners oftentimes. So can you walk us through a little bit of how Momence does help studio owners kind of capitalize on their most peak performance times, most profitable class types? So how do you take the data and transition that, leverage that into improvements and optimization for business owners?
It's a very vast question, right? And I think you got to look at that very um, precisely. The first thing, and why I'm saying this and hesitating is I'm seeing myself as an owner back in the days where I was wearing five hats every 10
Mm,
minutes. Um, and I learned very much, and it's also how you and I got to know each other, is I learned very much and early on, what do I want to know myself and what will I never do myself? And so there's this thing versus what do I outsource? What do I learn myself? I never did paid ads very well because I couldn't do it. So I always outsourced that to someone. So that would be my first thing here. Get yourself a good coach, get yourself good advisors. That's one. Now, if you're looking at peak performance of times, I think we have something that's really, when you asked, how do you make a strategic decision about these things, right? A lot of people just start with their timetable and they're like, well, we need classes. So they start running it. You ask them about the budget of their timetable. You'd be surprised how many times I said, hey, what does your timetable cost you? I don't know. I'm like, what do you mean you don't know? Well, it's variable because I give an incremental or I give a per head or I give. I said, yeah, okay. What's your base rate that you pay for that? And how do you strategically decide what percentage of gross revenue will you spend on timetable, on service provision? No idea.
mhm,
Right. So how does Moments help with that? And some things that we do is we're always trying to make it super easy. And I'm going to take something as an example that we're releasing now that will be available soon to all the hosts, which is what we do is it's called spot filler.
mhm,
And spot filler is something that kind of works in the background. And it's not with like it's only with all the data that you have in your Moments host account in your account, it will see who is interested in a certain class type, who was interested in the 6 a.m. but didn't show up. They didn't come. Maybe we can get them in. So the algorithm works in the back. So that's one of those new things that we're releasing. And from the very first moment we started with that, right? With Moments was how can we make it easier for an owner to stand in their business with their soft skills and their modality rather than to start doing these things that are so tedious on the tech side of things. So I think that's really good. We can get more technical about spot filler. I think it's really exciting. We're getting more information out there, but to move away from that, a little bit is there's two specific use cases that we have on this. Like you would put, very often I see owners that start, we should have 6 a.m. classes. They start. And so they invest in 6 a.m. classes, they bum out for 6 months or 3 months, and they're like, well, it's not working here. Now, with this new feature like Spot Filler, you could say, I only want to see, can I get 6 a.m. people in? Or Krista is my new teacher. Can I give a little bit of an incentive for people to give Krista's classes a try? So this is the kind of thing where we can be strategically making decisions with them because if you kind of sponsor through spot filler a little bit of an incentivized structure for people to try the new teacher out, you will very quickly know, is this new teacher going to work out for me or not? And so
mhm,
that's kind of like one of them. The second thing, and especially I know you work with a lot of Pilates studios, Pilates beds are expensive to have
mhm.
empty, to have empty. And especially when you have a studio with 5 to 8 reformers, you're waitlisted. And an hour and a half before class, two of them cancel, and now you're stuck. Now you're stuck, you lost that revenue. This is one of those features that if you set it up really one time, set forget, you can fill those classes. We did beta testing with a Pilates studio called Absolute Pilates, and she's seen the signs of like these beds that empty really last minute. They were just filled in the back end. She didn't have to do anything. So that's how we try to make the data help our owners to make decisions on what should I do, how should I do it. I hope that made any sense.
Yeah,
Was that
no, that
clear?
was great. I think the spot filler is wonderful. I think I will actually be on one of the new webinars learning how to optimize that, although I think this episode will air after I go on one of those webinars. But I
Mhm.
love how Moments is always iterating and listening to its end users, which are actually studio owners, right? On what are the things that really will benefit us. Um, so in terms of things like spot filler and the waitlist options, is that inclusive in any tier of um commitment, or is that exclusive, or is that included in a certain tier of Moments? Because I think what I'll hear is somebody trying to look for it and being like, oh, I don't see that in my platform.
No, never forget that we have like spot filler will be an add-on. I will
Hmm.
be an add-on, and you can choose to try it out. Obviously, everybody can try it out for 30 days, and that's with all our apps. All our apps have a 30-day free trial. This is an app that some people choose to use or not to use, but it's initial signs of all the groups we've tested it beta, then we've gone live, and now soon it'll be released to all of them. So no, spot filler specifically is an add-on. But the other question was, what did you ask was the other one? Because we have the core, which is our booking platform, which is a strong booking platform that comes as one tier, and then we have the marketing and leads and
Uh-huh.
reviews and all that gets bundled in a custom plan very often, and then there is options to do bookkeeping and other things. So then it becomes more a la carte, um, but most
But
of it
users
is
can
in.
reach out. They can reach out to their rep or customer support and say,
Oh no, they
I'm
don't even
interested
have to.
in,
No, they
they
don't
can
even
just
have
go
to.
right
They
in and do it.
they can go straight into apps and integrations at the bottom of their host website, and they can just go apps and then can go activate, and then it
Oh,
activates the
perfect.
trial. They don't need to contact. They
They don't
can.
even need
Our
to contact
customers.
anyone.
No, they don't.
Perfect. Awesome. That's great. So since you've been working with Moments, and I know you work very closely with Emily, who runs some of the marketing platform as well, what are you seeing that successful studios are implementing in their and how they use Moments to not just as a operational necessity, but how they're actually using it to grow their business? So I think some people think, oh, it's just a scheduling platform. Okay, fine. But there's so much more that can be done in these platforms if we learn how to utilize it the right way. So what are you seeing on your end in terms of what successful businesses are doing?
Iterate enough that you must find people around you that can tell you what a thing does.
Yeah.
You can get the best platform, but never use it. And I do believe that we offer by far the best platform. I had the choice to come here and deliberately did it. The difference here is consolidation
Okay.
and understanding. And it's a beautiful word. And sometimes you say it, and we are so much in it that some people might be like, that's a great word. What does it mean? You don't know how many missed opportunities you have as a studio owner
Mhm.
until you understand what it is. I'm not here to. I said that I was on Mind Body, but it doesn't matter. There are so many softwares out there that you set your Facebook ads, for example, and the leads come, but they don't go necessarily straight away in your CRM. So it takes you a day to upload them or Zapier or whatever. It's not instant.
Mhm.
Half of the leads are dead. They're
Mhm.
gone. That's it. Before you do anything, etc., etc. Then that lead nurture, how effective is it? So the consolidation piece, what people do very well, and the ones that do very well in our software are the people who have understood that you use an ads manager inside Moments. So the leads live inside Moments. You nurture them there. You have touch points right there and then, and then it goes into intro. You upsell them to memberships, and then you have an entire membership journey living in there. But let's keep it very simple. Like if you're a person that moves over to Moments and you don't do any paid ads, we on average, just by having that natural nurture happening,
Mhm.
on average, they grow their revenue by 20-30%.
Yeah.
Just like that. Now, if you start putting paid ads in place, and because they get nurtured instantly inside Moments, we see revenues growing up 50 to 70% in year one on Moments. So I see a lot of, and this is the thing, I see a lot of people are like, yeah, but I have no time for any of this. What do you mean you have no time for it? Take the time because that will
Yes.
free up so much more time and bring you more money.
Yeah. Well, I just pulled up while you were talking. I just pulled up our leads page from for the last 30 days. So we've had 514 leads and generated $15,903 just from leads. So the fact that now, if we know, I mean, I don't want to get too far ahead for people, but if you can understand also that if the lifetime value of a customer is, let's say, average attrition rate, and I don't know, you might have a difference. Like what I've read, average attrition rate is usually like 10 months. Is that accurate to what you've read lately? Is it lower, higher? I know every business is different, but like industry standard?
Difficult, right? It's very difficult. My studios were in the Middle East, and if I had a client that was still in my studio a year later, it was great. But there was a natural churn of 30% who left the country every year, and
Right.
so it's very difficult. But yes, if you have a rolling retention of 13 months, and you can look at that. So Moments, for example, has a rolling 13-month
Mhm.
retention rate. You got to work on that. Yes, if you can have a customer lifetime value 9 to 12 months, you're not you know if that's your lifetime that they're there, then you're not doing so badly. I'm not going to say how that is underbuilt with statistics because I've heard numbers very, very, very much.
Yes. I mean, I think what people forget when they're looking at lifetime value is it's easy for us to remember the people that come to our studio 3, 4, 5 times a week. And so you're like, oh, the lifetime value of these people is for 10 years. What happens though is we forget about the person that maybe came in for the intro and never came back and only paid $15, right?
But
So,
people don't see me smile because this is a podcast, but I want to tell you something else. How on earth did you know that you had 546 leads for revenue of 15,000? That's great. Our ROI calculator
yes,
is
that's what I'm saying. It's
you didn't
amazing.
even think about that, right? I mean, but before, how many studio owners are out there thinking meta ads, Google ads? It's like throwing spaghetti at the wall. I have no idea what I'm making with it, but I must
Yes.
do it. No, no, no. You must measure and quantify. Don't throw spaghetti at wall, right? So I'm always smiling when for you that almost came out so logically because I think some of the listeners would be like, how did she know how much return on investment she got from that?
Right. Well, where I'm looking at it is I opened up my Moments platform and I looked at my lead page. So if you have Moments, if you open it up and on the left like left side of your dashboard, there'll be a marketing and then you drop down and you go to leads. It tells me right here how many I had. And so the point is if I have this many leads and I've generated this much, and then I add that to what the lifetime value of my customer is, and even if I short end it and say they stay for about 10 months, it's $3,000 worth of revenue for a lifetime
And,
value, right? So if
and
in
once,
perpetuity, this for
well,
$15,000 increases.
it is, but look, intrinsically, as long as you know those numbers all the way from lead cost to lifetime value, you technically speaking don't have a marketing budget. You have a a cash flow issue.
Correct.
You might not be
Correct.
able to spend the money today, but if you can have, it costs me $100 to have my cost per lead, and that my cost per lead goes down to my cost per customer acquisition. To have a
Correct.
converted member to a 12-month membership costs me on average $150. I heard this a lot in my consulting days. That's a lot of money. Well, not really if your lifetime value is 2 grand. You've just
Exactly.
multiplied your money. It's a cash flow matter. Yes, you might
Yes.
not have the money to buy 15 of those this month, but if you have that snowball that is growing, nothing to worry about. Let's spend the money little by little and grow.
Correct. And once you get, so the last month of my podcast, we did all marketing. It was a marketing month. And we talked about this when we were talking about ads specifically and paid ads, right? So pretty much anywhere you go, if you go to Vegas and you throw down $100 and you walk around away from the table with $200, you won. Like that's a win, right? So in the ads world, if I know that it costs me $100 to get a good acquisition, which is what you're talking about, but that client stays for to turn into $3,000, that is a good return on my spend, right? So,
We are owners. Usually, we're really good. We are caregivers. So once they come through the door, we do a good job.
right. We just have to learn how to, and there is a little bit of process of learning how we get the right people through the door, but that's just all from testing. And it's one of the things I really love about Moments. So, like Peter said, I didn't pull that number out of thin air. I went to my to my platform where I can look at what stage they're in, if they've been contacted, converted, if they're cold, if they're warm. This is one of the things I love about Moments, Peter, is that I can also see where the source came from. So, in other words, I can see a bunch of people here that abandoned checkout, right? Where you cannot do on MindBody. And my team can go in and we can send them an automated email that says, we see, did you have a problem, right? It says something actually more coherent, but it's like, we saw you try to book a class or buy a package. Can we help you? Text us at this number, right? And we can see, I'm looking right now at my page. We had one, two, three, four, five, six. I'm just looking at the front page. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 people abandoned checkout, and 8 of them we ended up converting to clients. So
That's exactly right. The abandoned cart feature that we released is just a golden egg. It's just amazing. And yes, you got to be able to do that.
yeah, it's been great. So let's actually go a little bit deeper in what you were talking about with like the CRM. CRM, if you don't, for those of you that might not understand what that is, that's customer relationship management. It's HubSpot, it's Moments, it's, I don't know, there's a gazillion of them out there. I love that it's all in my platform. So when you talk about, kind of the sequence, what are you able to do in Moments in terms of walking through like how that works for businesses? So a client comes in as a lead, which is what we were just talking about. What is that how is Moments able for us to build that sequence?
It's something that happened, and it kind of grew more through when COVID happened. It became crystal clear that people had to work very hard on their client journeys, and so you're absolutely right that there are there are so many softwares out there now, but the problem is, do they natively live or are built inside things, moments? That the good thing is that a lead comes in, and from as soon as one piece of information, a phone number or an email, not even need both, don't even need first and last name, as soon as you have that, you can start having a conversation, two-way conversation with them, and it is all supported by automations. A lot of studio owners still have that misconception that automation is less personal. No, it makes
Yeah.
it more personal. You can make it more personal by setting yourself a task reminder. It doesn't all have to be automated messages. So what we've seen is that when you set up that, for example, I'll take something that is maybe less clear, but once you have that member, a lot of studios will go like, now I have the member, that's it, I can rest, relax. They're gonna stay, they're gonna be there. We see that the studios who do best is, yes, they have all that lead to intro. That's a good nurture sequence and they get good conversion rates. Then they have that intro to membership nurture, which
Mhm.
is crucial. And it's probably still the most crucial thing. However, then when we're talking about taking pressure off and of your sales team and making sure that you grow if you have a sales team, and then making sure you grow, is that first 90 days or even longer of your client journey. How can you make sure that your customer who now you've paid for, that you've nurtured, that they always feel connected with your studio? So it's very easy to say membership start plus day 15. I'm going to say, set a task to Christa, the owner, to give them a call to say, how was your first 2 weeks? Now, no
Mhm.
matter how good the owner, they're never going to remember that for everybody when their day 15 is. The good thing is, you don't have to remember. You just have to be the good human that follows up on a task that was automated for you. We see studios build that out for 90 days and longer. Some of them go with a member journey for 365 days, right? The good thing with
Mhm.
it also is, the second part of it is, we have an all-in-one inbox. Whatever Krista has sent to Peter, she can just look at.
Mhm.
Was that a task? Was that an email? What did we send to him? And now we have a two-way. We also have two-way voice in there. So whatever call you get, everything is in there. So I think it becomes so much easier. I was doing an interview, an impact interview with one of our hosts, And she just went, I feel like I have two staff members working for me. And it's actually just all the software. So you have all that communication that's happening. And now I was allowed to mention something I asked our marketing team before I came on the podcast, which is that we are about to release AI agents, but we won't call it that, inside the inbox. So just to get a little, and I won't
Exciting.
get too more. It's very exciting because we're always asking ourselves how can we kind of surprise and delight our customers, our hosts, and what will AI do? Because AI was the word that's been everywhere, and then you're
Yeah.
like, yeah, 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 I use ChatGPT, but what can it really do for me? There's a lot of tasks that are tell your front desk to call people for a sales follow-up.
Right.
They don't necessarily like doing it, or they're worried about it. Somebody sends you a mail or a message or whatever, a text to this, and it's everywhere, right? It's not in one place. You've given out your personal number, and there's like, hey, my knee hurts, can you take me out of class?
Yeah.
You do it or you forget it. Next thing you know, they got a late cancellation fee. Now you have to
Yep.
reimburse it. You know the whole thing. And it's like everything now that is, I got an injury. I need a freeze on my membership because I'm going on a vacation. I was booked into the 9 a.m., but my daughter has a dance class. I can't come. Can you change me into the 10 a.m.? All these tasks will be taken away. They will be completely done, automated. And that is one of our upcoming releases. I'm really happy that I could tell you that today. We've seen that work in beta with Emily Studio Core in Canada. She's done it, and it's just like, wow, I don't have to do it myself. The good thing is, and
Amazing.
it's not about how many people don't work here anymore. No, no. Now an owner can get back to like, what is my higher impact work I can do? Front desk people can work more on moving the needle on things, making sure everything is very organized and having customer conversations. Right. So that's what I'm very excited.
That's super exciting. I'm hearing that for the first time and I'm very excited. Anything that's going to reduce my workload or also reduce the workload of my administrative team where they can focus on other stuff is fabulous. I know that along our locations, we have two locations now. It really helps having all of the messages in one dashboard because if person in the morning did respond to someone, it's all there. So when they come back, the person in the afternoon or at the other location can just look at it and say, oh yeah, it's see here that so and so let you know XYZ. So
And now you will have
you're
extra.
I
Sorry,
know the
now you will have
automations
extra.
are great.
You'll have extra staff members that are not staff members as such, but that will take care of the tasks that no human really need. There's no added value in that being done by a human.
Yes. Yeah. Can we talk briefly about the metrics and analytics dashboard on Moments? So you have your dashboard that really gives owners an insight, like a CEO snapshot of overall what's going on in their business in any given time, right? So you'll have daily, weekly, monthly. So how do you think that helps owners make better objective decisions for their business?
Insights at a glance are crucial.
Yes.
I, I mean, I noticed it. Like, I mean, how many new members did I get last week? How many new visitors did I get? How does it make them make decisions? Um, Well, I think it's still something that's out there. I think too many owners still don't know their numbers, but I don't want to
Mhm.
be insulting. I was an athlete, a professional athlete, and when somebody told me what KPI was, I had no idea for the first years. I was like, what? So I looked it up, right? So I'm here to say you can learn this. I did a lot of education in the private sector on corporate finance, on other things to understand that. So I think insights at a glance are one of these important things to say, hey, what is happening in my business? But then we hope that all the other reports that are there, like total sales, membership sales, how many active members do I have? How much of that is reoccurring? Because I think that, and you know this, but reoccurring revenue is what most studios need. Uh,
Mhm.
um, and so I think that those things, making the right decision is based on understanding the basics. If I should say a couple of things, is understanding everything from metrics like leads. How many leads do I get? How many of those buy an intro? How many of those become a member? How long do I keep a member? How many did I lose? What is my net growth? How much
Mhm.
of that was reoccurring revenue so that I have a stable income? And all those are so easy to see because you can just set them up. And then that's super easy.
Yeah. So to me, this is something that I hear and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's so exciting. I'm a like metrics numbers person. What I hear possibly some business owners saying is, and excuse my French, but how the fuck am I going to have the time to do all this shit? Like, there's no way I don't have any more time in my day. Like, I just can't even imagine. And therefore, what I think happens to them is then they're like, well, forget it. I can't do it. I can't use it. I shouldn't do it. It's like this negative cycle all the way down. So, um, the first thing I would tell all business owners is number one, learn to ask for help. It does not mean you're weak or vulnerable or an imposter or stupid. It means you're actually a very smart business owner because all business owners, everyone that's at the top of their game in anything they do, has help. I don't care what you're doing in your life. So, professional athletes, CEOs, I mean, everyone has help. So, what are some of the exciting things that Momence offers in terms of helping business owners, whether it be with migrations or because let's say it, I mean, all migrations are we just try to keep them as painless as possible, but it's a big lift for people to migrate their software. So what's coming up with Moments that's exciting in terms of how you are providing assistance to your customers?
I could go straight to goal as well as which is we the partner. I'm obviously biased because I'm building a partnership department and I'm really excited about meeting people like yourself that can assist. Now, when we look at ourselves first, we have our support team has literally from an investment perspective and a human resources perspective multiplied by four recently. And not just in volume, but also in quality and level. We have a director of support who is nothing short of a genius, and so that's great. We brought that phone support back to our host. We got a lot of good stuff going on. Onboarding is, I think, something that migration. I always used to say because I migrated a couple of times when I was an operator myself. I always made the joke that migration was close to migraine. The words were very similar, right? So I was like, oh no, no, and yes, there is always going to be some challenges with that, right? And we have a very good onboarding team. The data that you get must be taken care of, right? So you have to make sure I get good data. Then there's all the things like my Twilio number, get making sure that I can take over my Twilio number and then my Stripe data or my payment processing data. Once you have all that, and you might already be like, whoa, that's too much. But we do a lot of hand holding. We do a lot of hand holding on that. We are constantly building up with our customer success team. How can we make it even smoother for people to learn more on the software? So we do a lot of things where we look at ourselves going, how can we make that very smooth? But there's also, and I know it from my consulting times, which is I always say there's three ways of doing things. You can teach people how to do it. You can show it while you do it with them. And then there's a customer base who just wants it done for them. And I think as an owner, you need to know in this part of my business, I just want it done for me. In this part, I want to learn how to do it. So that's looking at yourself. And what I'm doing with the partnership department is making sure that we have that ready for people who are like, I do not want to build sequences. So can you guide me to someone who can do that for us? Or I don't want to run paid ads. I just don't want to do it. Can you guide me? Or I will always think at numbers. Can I find a fractional CFO?
Mhm.
And so there is the ecosystem moments needs to grow to a place, and it's doing it very well, thanks to people like yourself as well, by the way, right? Which is where what help can we get that we will not provide us, but that our hosts also need? Does that
I
answer
mean,
that
that's
question?
great. Yeah, that was perfect. So let's discuss a little bit of the Pro Partners program, because I also think, just like you said, it's finding where the owners could use guidance support in terms of even analytics, having a fractional CFO, having someone that already has sequences built and can plug and play into their dashboard. And I know you've been heading that up. So can you give us just, let's talk a little bit about the Pro Partners program.
Yeah, so when I joined Moments and I spoke with Vojta, I said to him, look, there's two ways we can go about this. We could hire a whole pro services team that builds up sequences that kind of works more on fractional CFO service. And he was like, no, 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 no. That doesn't sound right. And I said, I strategically agree with you because we, you know, when you open the app, you will see home of experiences. We're the home of experience businesses, which means that we are, yes, and we will never deny our or forget our origins. Yoga, Pilates were our core verticals, but we also service spinning and facilities. The strongest appointments based software that's out there now. We are really up there with salons, med spas, all those. We're doing a lot of that.
Mhm.
And so when I then came in on partnerships, I was like, we can't be building up the best nurtures and product and this and that for all these different verticals. Martial arts is a big one for us. So we're working with a martial arts consultant to help those schools to turn over more revenue. So when I brought that in, I was like, let's bring all these experts in and make sure that it's a win-win for three parties, meaning hosts, we call them hosts, right? Owners who are like, that I can't do myself, so I need someone. Good, we have someone for that.
Mhm.
The software is so intuitive. And like you said, we iterate faster than anybody else because we listen to all the clients. And so that's the second part is that is us, we do that. And then there's these partners that can build up so much for our clients as well.
Amazing. So great. And I think it's a smart thing rather than build your own internal structure. Because like you said, there's so many different verticals of different nuances. Have people that have gone before them and done it successfully and have, you know, the right answers. So if someone's interested in learning more, so let's talk about people that maybe just are they're already on Moments and they want to maybe learn how to optimize it a little better. What steps should they take, or what should they be on the lookout? I know that there's all of the, you guys do a lot of webinars and things. I don't even think business owners realize all of the training that you actually provide internally.
We have a webinar calendar. That's the customer success team. We have a webinar calendar that is definitely great, and we invite our partners to do that. We kind of let most of our partners come on there, but we also other things is, and it's in the making. So it depends on when people will be listening to this, but hold tight. We are setting up. Domain that is partners.moments.com that's coming, which I am very excited about. Where people can see who do we all work with and get like our partners, very much many of our partners will, like yourself, I think, say, hey, meet me. And we are very meet me and then give them 30 minutes of your time, see if you're the right fit. Because I think that's always the right thing. I think the partners that I've had the privilege to work with so far are all people that know who they service and who they don't. And to have
Yeah,
that honest answer, like, hey, that's not what I do. That's what I do. So you can come here. So I think that's a good thing. So wait for that page to be up and running also and check out our webinars.
that would be perfect. And if people are not yet on Moments, but are interested in learning about Moments, what should they do?
If they come through our partners, then that's usually the partners will send them through our way. And otherwise they go to moments.com, of course, and then they can book for a demo there, or sign up from there.
Perfect. If you are all interested in booking a demo, I am going to link my personal link in the show notes. So that is my affiliate link. So know that if you go through them, I do get a little bit on the back end. However, I don't, as you will hear in my, I don't do affiliate fees for hardly anything because it's only the things that I truly, truly believe in. And I really believe in Moments as a platform. I am excited to say that I will be working in their pro partnership. I just believe that the more people learn how to optimize this for their business so they can really focus on the things that only they can do as owners, right? And it sometimes is a daunting task, and I'm excited to be able to help specifically women business owners learn how to optimize their platforms. I think Voita and Mateo has done a great job. I'm excited to be working with you and Emily, um, and Kylie, and so the whole team. It's fun to watch everybody grow. And so, do you have any last words
I
for
I
our
do.
listeners?
I do. We would love to welcome obviously everybody and people who work with you. I know we obviously have a lot of female entrepreneurs that are there, and I think it is fantastic to see. And then something more logistical is that um, because you're one of our partners, what we do is, of course, if they sign up through your link, we want to give them the first 90 days on us. And that is because of the fact that you can.
Amazing.
So that's because the fact that you then maybe will, yes, indeed, from a pro services part, you could maybe help them setting up their sequences. That way they get a bit of leeway on that migration, they get a bit of time to get settled in. And that is something we feel is the least we can do for partners like yourself and your clients.
Oh my gosh, that's so amazing. Yes, most people are budget conscious and they also need a little time to work it out. So that's amazing, everyone. So grab the link in my show notes. I don't say it out loud because it literally, you guys are mostly driving or walking when you're listening to this, and just go to the link in the show notes. It'll be on our website. And Peter, I look forward to continuing this relationship with Moments for as long as we have to work together. So I'm really excited. And I thank you for taking the time to come and speak to my audience. And I really hope that a lot of them are reaching out to you in the future. So thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, until next time, bye for now.